Good morning to you. Welcome to Good Morning Anambra Monday morning edition. How are you? Sure you had a good weekend. I did. Like I've always said that this period, we don't have much to complain. Even if there's no power supply, you still have to sleep very well because the weather is very conducive. Is that it's raining in your area or it rains somewhere and then it be, filtering in very cold weather for you to relax and sleep well. Thank you. My name is Ijema. Obina, good morning.
Yeah, Obina, my name. I had a very good weekend. I don't know for you.
Yeah, very good indeed. Can't you see the way I'm just
I wouldn't know. As presenters, we need to keep, that face to actually. We do not need to express.
Are you saying that I'm faking it?
No, that's what I'm saying. Right.
So whether you had a good one or a bad one, you just have to feel.
You have to be professional. You have to not feel that.
You don't have to pass your problems to others.
Exactly.
That's the training. Okay, welcome. We'll take a break here in a short while. We'll bring you press review. Do stand by. Joining us this morning is Comrade Sam Ololo. Sam Ololo is a public affairs analyst and a whole lot of things put together. Let me not just bore you with his intro. There's a lot in there that he said. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Obina. Anambra, good morning to us all. And happy new month to us.
Happy new month. Yeah, Obina, I forgot to say the happy new month.
Yeah, it actually did skip my mind,
I've wished us well on our behalf.
You know why I kept quiet? Because it's my month. This is the month to bless you.
When is it this month?
22nd to be precise.
All right.
We're going to rock it here. What is even 22nd? Okay. Okay, welcome to my month. So whenever you see me, tell me happy birth month, okay? All right. So let's move on, get to our website to see the stories trending there before we get to the pages of the newspapers we have available today. The first story, Obina says.
All right, in front of what we have on the ABS website this morning, Anambra NSCDC reads illegal sand mining site from skate sand dredging machine. We also have Mrs. Soludo flags off Dun Coffee literally rebirth healthy living farm project at Ukpo.
Nsuba youth protest disappearance of Onyedeka Debois. 100 days in office, Federal Polytechnic Oko Rector Ahuzie inaugurates projects.
Presidential Metering Initiative, federal government to deploy 7 million smart meters. NTLEA dismantles criminal syndicate in Kano, sponsoring Hajj pilgrims as drug couriers to Saudi Arabia.
And then Gaza, 31 Palestinians killed near a distribution point. Manchester United signs Matthews Kuha from what is his name? What do you call him?
Wanderers.
Okay, what think concern me? Okay.
Have collapsed bridges. At least 7 people killed in Russia. EPL Sami Chelsea go for Liam Delap from Ipswich at town. These are the major headlines in the ABS website this morning.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us. But do remember that you can track ABS on any free-to-air with this parameters, satellite names, Niger.com, and a whole lot of things. If you get to our website, you see how you can get us clearly on free-to-air. Okay, yes. Mrs. Soludo. Flags of Dunukofia literary rebate, healthy living farm project at Ukpo. You may not really know what exactly our first lady is doing until you get to this hinterland, these areas, to actually see the seed that she is sowing, which in a year or two will germinate to, give us very bountiful harvest. Yes. How do you see that?
And so first of all, I must congratulate the First Lady, Mama Anambra, for that noble, innovative both the Healthy Living with Soludo initiative that she has been running, now they literally rebirth. However, in the congratulation, I would also need to charge her to go beyond her 8 years of office. Because over time, we have seen first ladies come up with pet projects, leave it through the tenure of the administration, and after then, we don't hear about it again. No matter how noble and those initiatives were. Mm-hmm. For example, is the cafe project of the last administration. Mm-hmm. There are people who still need that kind of intervention. But the question now is, now that the first lady is no more in office, what happens? So for me, I'm thinking sustainability. I'm thinking a structure outside government. Yes, you can use the instrument of government to build your ground and make it sustainable. So that even when you leave, if you retire from government office, you can continue that. However, it is good that they are going to the interlands, like you said, and you never can tell the massive success stories that will come out from these kind of interventions, no matter how little it is. However, but the way I'm looking at this whole thing is the structure of Nigeria, what Nigeria holds for us. I want it to be a society where we value people's life, a society where what counts effectively is welfare, security, and then strong economy. Mm-hmm. Because this now allows people to do things.
Making for strong institutions, yes.
Beyond the government, beyond the programs of the government. So beyond what the government is doing, I think they need to transcend to giving the people the power so that even when they are not there, people can use their initiative to run their own programs and for their own survival. Of course, you also talked about the ABS news talked about the illegal sand mining. These are the whole issues that we are talking about. And 2 days ago, I read a publication made by Obi Ezekwesili when they were talking about what they failed to do in Nigeria. Of course, in 1999, we said Nigeria that was our fourth republic. We were expecting something massive and wonderful. So why they achieved the Paris Club debt rebate, they said they also failed to institute mindset shift. So this whole issue is happening before us also calls that the government, while they are doing their work, must embrace mindset shift so that the people can always think progressive, positive, more than destructions.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so we're moving to the various tabloids we have for you this morning. And then the first newspaper we'll be looking at is the Daily Sun newspaper. And on the Daily Sun newspaper, we have pressure mounts on 4 PDP governors to join the APC. And then we also have, all right, the kicker to that, we have Nigeria's democracy under state capture coming from ex-Senate President Wabara. And then we have Atiku, El-Rufai, Amechi, Sanusi Slams, Tinubu's government, and that's on page 6 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Our business and life support manufacturers and small medium enterprises cry out, says 18,000 jobs lost in 2024. And then we have FCTA refutes claims of religious indoctrination in schools. Northern governors can, Akpabio, Buhari, Kalu, okay, couldn't see that clearly. Niger flawed, more bodies recovered as government puts death figure to 153. Trade and economic policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu amidst the controversies about his 2 years in office. So these are the major headlines in front of the Daily Sun newspaper.
Go on. Yeah, Times.
All right, on Daily Times we have judiciary workers begin nationwide indefinite strike today, and that's on page 2 of the Daily Times newspaper. We also have Nigeria security and political economy, page 16 of the Daily Times newspaper. No reason peace will not reign between me and my Oga, coming from the man Fubara. Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway, a rushed celebration of unfinished dream, coming from Ame. Amechi gave Tinubu dose of his own medicine in 2022, coming from Wole Soyinka. Federal government backs NSITF explanation of employees' compensation for public workers. IOC is not exiting Nigeria, coming from the presidency. And then we'll have NDLEA arrests 2 Saudi-bound pilgrims, intercepts $9.3 billion naira opioids.
Okay, I'm from the front page of the Punch newspaper. We'll have the stories coming. Grim toll. The states move to evacuate flood zones. With some riders there, Niger buries 153. A state brace for heavy rains. The citizens plead for action. More survivors fear disease outbreak. Another story is coming from here. Nigeria's petrol price 55% below West African average. This is coming from Dangote. Defamation, Natasha to appear in court Tuesday. And then 7 banks' resource was CBN surged to 18.8 trillion naira. And, okay, that's coming from the governor, CBN governor. A terrorist eyeing Nigeria, West Africa coastlines. This is coming from U.S. What an intelligent report. Like it just started. They're not just eyeing us, they're here with us. NDLEA intercepts Saudi-bound pilgrims with drugs. Withheld allocation or shown tax project funds to pay local government workers. I think that's all we have coming from the Punch newspaper. The next paper is Vanguard. Go on, Obina.
All right, on Vanguard, we have federal government's gas-powered vehicle scheme runs into major hitch nationwide. 785.6 billion naira investment threatens the kicker to that, and on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. And then kickers to that continue. Refuel stations, conversion centers, other facilities grossly inadequate. CNG buses, other equipment rots in parking lots. Current paying is temporary. Presidential CNG initiative. Right, 50 killed, 15 parishes shot by armed headers in Makurdi. This is coming from Catholic priest. APC primaries, Amechi gives Tinubu dose of his own medicine coming from Wole Soyinka. Nigeria, 6 others affected as Saudi Arabia suspends block work visa. Debt burden, no sin in borrowing coming from the presidency. Dangote refinery.
The light. We bring you the light that through our illustrious leaders. Our icons. Our industrious people. Our rich culture. Our places of pride. And our mouth-watering cuisine. With unbridled professionalism and renewed tenacity, we serve you real-time news, information, entertainment of varied genres with unfettered reach of your clients and customers. AB.
Alright, ndị Igbo na-ege ntị kwụ na ahụ na n'ebe anyị nọ kpọmkwem na Anambra State ka m nọ. Anọkwa m with Anambra Broadcasting Service. Oh, how ebe anọ. If you are not listening to them, if you are not watching them, that means you are blind. Open your eyes and see good things, and good things will come to you. Hey, babe, I wanna know.
Welcome back. It is still Good Morning Anambra, and we are looking at the press review this morning before we went on break. We are on Daily Independent. Let's see what is trending there. $300 helicopter levy on oil companies may hike petrol, diesel prices. Is the banner headline there. With a rider there, stakeholders question papers of $300 per landing charge. Corruption. Okay, other stories. 3 years after poor infrastructure hobbles deployment of 5G, setup sues NNPCL over 500 billion naira missing oil revenue. And the LEA bus syndicate sponsoring pilgrims with cocaine to Hajj. Arrest 3 kingpins in Kano. Supreme Court, NJC, Federal High Court workers pull out of Johnson strike. Niger flood, 2 more bodies recovered as death toll rises to 153. Growing external debt exposure threatens Nigeria's fiscal stability. These are the stories that made the front page of the Daily Independent. Obero.
All right, moving to the next paper this morning, the Tuesday newspaper. We have U.S.-linked surge in Nigeria's terror attacks to exit from Niger. Chad kickers to that says it's no longer able to monitor the activities in Africa. Declares Sahara region global terrorism epicenter. State terror group may soon be able to strike inside the USA. Alleges China only interested in access to Africa's resources. Wabara to National Assembly, our democracy under state capture, rise up to challenge. That's on page 16 of the Tuesday newspaper. We also have Niger flood disaster. Turkey condones federal government as Buhari Akpabio won 122 lives lost in deluge. Kano auto crash. And then we have Fitch upgrades Fidelity Bank's national rating to A+ in bracket NGA. Affirms long-term IGR at B. And then we have ECOWAS. Dangote refinery symbolizes hope for Africa. Founder has continental vision, and that's on page 5 of the Tuesday newspaper.
Okay, the Nation newspaper. Tragedies by Mokwa flood victims, Ogun, others mourn with Kano. 22 firms get 16.1 billion naira in first tranches of 75 billion naira relief loan. How Medipol will crash prices of medicines by pledge 1.9 trillion naira oversubscribed Sukuk cash for refund. Okay, that's all coming from the Nation newspaper. Let's move faster, maybe take all the headlines so that will be time.
All right, on the Guardian we have 2027 opposition coalition shops for candidates as the APC marks effort, and that's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Economy not in crisis, says presidency as Afenifere rates Tinubu low. And then we also have mother allegedly hires thugs to beat vice principal for confiscating son's phone during WAEC. Subscribers lament as fiber cuts disrupt services nationwide. And ECOWAS at 50, the legacy at crossroads. We also have Arewa grips over Niger flood disaster, Kano accident. Forum appeals for relocation of Giwa barracks as IEDs kill 9 in Borno. And then moving away from the Guardian newspaper, we have the Daily Trust newspaper. And the major headline there, auto crash, last moment of Kano 22. And we also have Governor Boni's second term in office, elevating service delivery across Yobe State. All right, so these are the major headlines in front of the Daily Trust newspaper.
And the last paper for review this morning is the Nigerian Tribune. Manufacturers lament mounting challenges. Let's see what they talk about. Say 767 manufacturing companies shut down in 2023. Over 18,000 jobs lost in 2024. Cost of imported raw materials surged by 118%. And the spending on alternative energy hit 1.11 trillion naira in 2024 war and economy. Federal government mandates employees compensation scheme for public workers. Joins federal head of civil service to sensitize civil servants. Kano accident, fatigue, excessive speeding caused death of 21 athletes. FRSC. NDLEA bust syndicate. We have seen that story. Any other story of interest here? How over 60 airlines are folded up in 3 decades. Investigation. Nigeria loses $8.8 billion in annual revenue to informal sector. AFDB says that. I think that's all we have here. Dangote refinery can meet regions' petroleum needs. ECOWAS president, at what cost is our question. Okay, yes, Samololo, you have seen the stories that made the headlines this morning. Let's start from the one that is pricking your heart now.
Okay, just quite a handful. And when issues continue to happen that you cannot really place your hand on an immediate place where you say, okay, they're trying to solve it, then it calls for serious concern for every government. And what baffles me is, as citizens continue to complain, both the unpaid workers, those also who have taken themselves up to protect anything and everything that is the policy of the government does, people that I want to call the vivuellas, they are just whatever they are good at is just to protect the government. Even sometimes speak ahead of official media team of the government. That is a sorry state. Now this is before us, manufacturers complaining that they are being shortchanged in the country. And when we hear the government talk, both at the federal level, the state level, even nothing stops our local government holders, actors from attracting manufacturers, because eventually these manufacturers would settle down. Anywhere they settle down, it's also a local government, really. But what we begin to talk about now is the share of taxes and other revenue that comes to it. But when the manufacturers are complaining, these are people that have stayed over years. And there is a study that states that every business, every startup they have 5 years of survival rate to either close up or now know that they are truly in for business. And these are manufacturing companies that have stayed for close to 15 or thereabout years, now coming out to complain. It really calls for concern. Now that goes to show where our money has been going to as a nation. Our people, our government have decided to, as wonderful as those projects are, we are not talking about coastal roads. So the question is, what is the importance of coastal roads to manufacturing sector? I mean, we are not getting our priorities right in the country. Because if we are getting our priorities right, the amount and the coastal road we are talking about is even so far in the history of Nigeria, a project that has been quoted or has been given the highest volume of fund to run it through. And these are manufacturers complaining. And when we don't see these goods, people will resort to importing them, putting pressure on the naira. Things, inflation are going high, and the government seems not to understand this whole thing.
Who said they don't understand or they don't care?
But either way, either they don't care, they don't understand, or they are just so nonchalant about
Yes, because I was watching Mahi, the Minister of Works, where he was being squeezed to tell us exactly the cost price. You have told us the overall amount of what that coastal rail is going to cost. And he was being asked, tell us bit by bit, how much is a kilometer of this coastal line going to cost us? And the guy was almost fighting on this on air. And you keep wondering, is this the kind of leaders that we can rely on? Give account of what you are doing. Simple accountability, that's all we ask for. Okay, and he felt like fighting, like boxing on air, and just like what's going on, what we're going to see in the new budget, it's about supplement. It looks like a bigger budget, but it's supplementary budget that is coming up, whereby the street lights, one street light is costing us 226 million naira. So how can you run an economy like that?
So these are the issues. So why wouldn't the manufacturers complain? And their complaints, is it justifiable? Has the government reacted to them? The question is, the government seems to say nothing about it. And these people are, give or take, the life wire of this, just as the civil servants are. This is another sector that is life wire of the economy of a nation. Now the question becomes, even if those that are established are having this issue, what happens to startups? what happens to the youth that we are encouraging to go into business? So it now shows you that the government is not yet ready. And if the government is not ready, how do they then think they can get the interest and trust of the citizens?
The government has, have come out to quote a very encouraging percentage of employment, saying at least about probably close to 60% of Nigerians actually employed one way or another. There are questions about it being the base, about the authenticity of these statistics or something like that. Now, bringing it to to what you just said, you've just been able to let us know that the government may not have been doing enough. So, what do you think the government should do at this moment amid the cries and all that?
It's simple. Get your priorities right. And first of all,
what should be the priority?
Yeah, coming. So first of all, talking about the social services that the government is running, when they were asked, a government official opened their mouths to say they got the figures that of the people that are beneficiaries to the social service from AI. That is, the figures they got was from AI. Now, I think what the government needs to do once again is, let us declare state of emergency holistically on everything that has to do with Nigeria, both the institutions and our operations. Why this is going on, our National Orientation Agency should not forget that they have a lot of mindset rebate that needs to actually happen in the country. And in this, by getting our priorities right, there are basic things that the government needs to do that would seem to set us in the right track. Welfare of citizens. I've mentioned this earlier when I started. What is our welfare and an ordinary citizen like? How do we feed? Inflation keeps taking the cost of food commodities in the market. Now, with the security situation, it's unfortunate that every time we hear of insecurity in Nigeria, is it in Benue, is it in Plateau State, is it even in Anambra State? Yeah, the government at the state level are now trying their best to actually forestall these things, but we cannot say that they don't happen. And what is the government doing, trying to actually take care of insecurity in the country? And most importantly, our economy. Manufacturers are now complaining. Even as they are trying to run up the supplementary budget, if you want to see how interested a government is in the development of their country, look at the money. Even in the supplementary budget that they are doing, what is the percentage fund that will be given to this sector? What is the percentage fund that is going to the health sector? What is the percentage fund that is going to education sector? These are the critical elements that make up a nation. But no, you just see paltry sum of money in these sectors. But in their overhead, funds for traveling overseas, funds for whatever they do, calculate that one. And that is where the chunk of the money is. And you are telling us that this government are serious. No. If you want to show us that you are serious, begin to cut down cost of governance in the things, especially overhead. You can also sacrifice. You expect the citizens to sacrifice, whereas.
But you're not putting in anything. You're not putting in anything. You're not bringing nothing to the table.
When it comes to manufacturing, give them a huge chunk of budget, because that is the area that we know that if money goes in, money is coming out eventually, and not in the frivolities that they spend their lives doing. That is, I think, something that the government don't even need a long-term arrangement to begin. That can be immediate.
Okay, let's move on now. Let's look at the judiciary workers as they begin their nationwide strike today, and the police that we have recorded, Supreme Court, High Court, NJC, pulling out from the... Are we going to see the same thing like what happens maybe when ASU wants to go on strike, or even every other organization, and then there's this... pepping up from different quarters, from the government quarters anyway, asking for people to come out, to pull out of strike so that they won't achieve whatever they want to achieve with the strike. What exactly is going on?
Unfortunately, they will just only continue to shoot themselves on the leg.
Who? The judiciary workers?
Judiciary workers and those pulling out. Because eventually, this is an unfortunate situation that we keep finding ourselves in the country, where everything becomes politicized. These people are complaining of their welfare. These people are complaining of administrative condition, what they need to actually operate effectively. And some other persons, because of possibly the overbearing impact of government or influence of government, are trying to play safe. showing the federal government that they are for them. However, time will still come when their own welfare will be called to question. And what happens? I mean,
they've collected money now. For you to pull out now, you have been giving millions.
How long would, so I think it is a shame that Nigeria, a lot of sectors cannot even come together for a common purpose. If you
It's the politicians.
So why would you continue to allow the politicians infiltrate us? And it's not like things are getting better. So we are playing the ostrich.
And this religious and the ethnic declaration that they give to everything, every venture. You know, is our people, our brother that is in power now. You want them to gang against us because they did do that when their brother was there. This is what they tell them.
It's unfortunate that these things keep coming up, really. And people that we have as leaders, of all the sound minds that are there, what they think they can bring up as a base to defend their position is religious sentiment, ethnicity that are so,
that's Nigeria for you,
so sensitive. So the question becomes, what happens to you having an idea, pushing it through, standing by it, and building a lot of figures around it? And this is a lot more difficult. The only way the government would have had strong basis is, no matter the idea you have, begin to, that of course, that are pro-people, begin to form that idea. You begin to see positive outcomes from it. You point them as, these are the things we have done. At that point, you not even need, because I'm a Christian or because I'm a Muslim, as a basis. You not even need because
there's no Christian and Muslim market. Everybody go to the same market and still the same thing.
Should these unions not, or because over the years you've seen strikes, number of strikes or actions, and probably it didn't lead to nothing. We won't also remove the fact that of course it has yielded some positive results. Very recently we saw the increase of the minimum wage and other development due to probably strike actions. Don't you think these unions can come out to say, okay, let us have another approach that may be more positive in terms of dialogue or something like that?
No, so I want to believe, just as every other union, before they even get to this level, or that they should have explored dialogue. But the question now is, who are they dialoguing with? Are they on the dialogue table, which of course is the best, if you have people who are also interested in the development of the country? So let us come together. I bring my facts before the table.
Conflict resolution.
And then we look at it, and then even if we can't meet your demands, we give you a time frame because of paucity of funds, or give a reason, and then these people understand you. And when they see genuinely that you are working towards the agreement, there will be no need for all these conversations. But the person cannot continue to complain of their welfare. They see just last week, the government, out of 750 kilometers, I will keep using this as a reference, 750 kilometer road have gone to, what is it called now? Commission 30 kilometers. In that 30 kilometer road, I'm not interested in whatever they are doing. I mean, it's the government, they can do it as they want. But in that 30 kilometer road that they have commissioned, check the amount that have been spent by pulling in other governors to come and commission it.
It's horrible.
By their aides coming to commission that. And these Jesuits are crying of their own welfare. The government is putting more attention in frivolities, as I've said earlier.
Is it not where they're supposed to carry their protest? They're supposed to go there and carry their placards.
So like I said, I'm not against the 750.
It's not a priority.
I'm not against the 30
there are other things that we should handle before that.
The amount that have been spent just to commission it.
Okay, let's move on. We don't have enough time, please.
Logistics, this amount, if the government had channeled it to the dressing, I know they would have said, okay, these people are actually working towards our welfare, and the level of strike would not get to the stage where it is.
It's impunity. That's what we see. You do anything you like and you get away with it. Nobody's asking questions. Let's look at what's going on. 153 bodies buried in a state. And then this flood of a thing is an annual thing. It's like a festival in Nigeria. And I kept asking, you know that after 2025 flood, there's going to be another flood in 2026. What are you as a responsible government doing to forestall this? Look at the number of human beings that we are losing at every given time we say there's a flood. This is just the beginning. The flood has not started. This is just the beginning, because very soon Nimet will tell us how many states that should get ready for their own flood. So is there nothing we should do to prevent this?
Of course, there are always a lot of things that we are supposed to do. Beyond NIMET giving the projections of likelihood of what would happen in different states, making those states ordinary to begin early warning system and evacuating their citizens in record time. Beyond that, I think, yeah, a lot of persons, we are going to say it's climate change, we are going to say a lot of issues. So what is the pathway?
It's not only in Nigeria that climate changes.
Of what is the pathway, the channel flow of water? When the water flows overboard, how can it be controlled? This used to be a scenario in Lagos State during the Tinubu era. Those times we could remember every time we hear Bad Beach overpassing its boundaries and then going into, and it used to cause a lot of havoc. So now we're also having the same scenario in the north, so also at least in different areas in the country. So what stops the government from even adapting the model that was used in Lagos State to forestall loss of lives and properties? Must it always be nonchalant attitude that would always lead to the deaths of citizens?
And then money will be budgeted. You know.
And just unfortunately,
everything is business in this country, even our lives.
A government agency came to their social media handle and posted their account number. That is for people who wants to support to just pay in and give them
apart from the huge amount the government must have
put in. Gives to them. I'm saying that the federal government is calling for well-meaning citizens to support them. You can imagine to that extent. So it now makes you ask, are we really serious as a people? Still bringing us back to our recruitment process of how we recruit people that even represent us. Beyond looking at how we recruit people that represent us, I have a radical idea. If only the youths are even serious, I think what we can actually do is to divide ourselves into two. Because eventually there will be people that will support a government, there will be those that will not support the government. Then those that are supporting the government, when the government is not doing well, you work for the citizens and make sure that you hold them accountable. They will hear you, they will listen to you because they know that you are their support base. Then those ones who are not supporting them can as well be putting pressure. This is the only way Nigeria can work. And not just because I am supporting this government. Anything the government does, even an explanation that has not been given by the government, you begin to give innuendos, protecting them. So, and there are some issues sometimes.
Protecting your pockets, not even the government.
Government actors even react. They try to see what is the impulse of the citizens like. When they go there and they now see that because of those who are protecting them have watered down the weight of the issue, they just keep quiet.
And that's it.
That is what happens.
That is it. They run the government. You allow these people to run your government for you. Even the very good arrangement you have on how to, deliver democracy of dividends to your people, because you are being somebody somewhere is fighting for you. You forget and then neglect all those ones. Let's talk a little politics before we go. Pressure mounts on 4 PDP governors to join APC, and Nigeria's democracy under state capture. Senate president is asking that question. Whether Nigeria's democracy is on. Let's join it with this one. Atiku, El-Rufai, Amechi, Sanusi slammed Tinubu's government. There are a whole lot of things that is going on now. Please, just very briefly, let's just talk about very briefly before we go.
I would just say politicians would gather, plan whatever they want to plan. Eventually, it is the citizens that will decide what happens. During 1999, I think AD under Tinubu was the only, and then there's another party in the north that were only existing. Before then, all the state had PDP. Now, where is PDP? People would learn, people would take decision. Eventually, what we are calling for is for INEC electoral system to be reformed in a way that whatever the people say becomes a reflection of their wishes. And then whatever they decide, just before their own political games. Eventually, the citizens will say what they want. And that is just what we want for Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. The citizens will say what they want. That's if they know what to say and really want to say it without fear of favor. That's where we are. Thank you very much, Samuel Lolo, Public Affairs Analyst, for joining us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a delight having you here.
Thank you.
Okay, Obina.
All right, guys. Next is the discussion segment of the Good Morning Anambra, and I hope you do not go anywhere. Just keep that locked on ABS television this morning. We'll be right back.